The evening was meant to be a stunning display of royal grace, a celebration of history, unity, and charity set against the majestic backdrop of Windsor Castle. The Windsor Charity Gala attracted dignitaries, aristocrats, and influential philanthropists, promising all the elements of a flawless royal event. Yet, beneath the polished smiles and glittering silverware, something powerful and unsettling was unfolding. A quiet act of defiance, a deeply personal rejection that cracked the illusion of harmony within the House of Windsor. This challenge didn't come from an outsider, but from the very core of the monarchy. Prince William, heir to the throne, made a decision that night which not only rattled the royal family, but also humiliated Queen Camilla in front of their most important and scrutinizing guests. At the center of the controversy was one glaring absence on the official guest list, a name Queen Camilla had specifically insisted on: her son, Tom Parker Bowles. But before we continue, we'd love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video. If you just did, we truly appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the main content. For years, Tom had lingered on the edges of royal life, known but never fully embraced. Now, as queen consort, Camila wanted to officially integrate her family into the royal fold, starting by including her son in high-profile events. But William saw things differently. This was no casual gathering or private dinner. It was a solemn royal occasion steeped in tradition and symbolism. To William, that symbolism mattered deeply. When the final guest list came out and Tom's name was missing, the message was unmistakable. There are boundaries that even Camilla's family could not cross. Camilla was shocked. She pleaded, bargained, and even brought King Charles into the discussion, hoping he would sway their son. But William stood firm. On the night of the gala, Tom Parker Bowles was reportedly denied entry to Windsor Castle. Security, following orders, turned him away while elegantly dressed guests streamed inside. Camilla maintained her composure for the cameras but quietly endured what insiders describe as the most painful personal slight she has experienced since becoming queen. Behind closed doors, she reportedly lost her composure, tears held back, her voice trembling with disbelief. It wasn't just her son who had been shut out. It was her authority, her standing, her influence that were openly challenged. And at the center of it all stood Prince William, calm, unyielding, and unapologetic. This was no accident. It was a deliberate message. You may be married to the king, but you will never be the queen in his son's eyes. To truly grasp William's cold stance, one must look beyond royal protocol to the emotional foundation of his identity, his mother, Princess Diana. Though she passed away in 1997, her presence never left William. Her values, her spirit, and the wounds she carried have been with him every single day since. More than any royal title, Diana's influence shaped the future King of England. William wasn't just born heir to the throne, he was the son of a woman loved by millions, yet betrayed by the very institution he was destined to serve. As a child, he witnessed his mother swallowed up by the cold, unforgiving machinery of royalty. He saw the media relentlessly tear her down. He overheard whispered rumors about Camilla's betrayals and secrets hidden behind palace walls. Diana disappeared in one tragic night, and that kind of loss leaves a permanent mark on a person. For William, it sparked a quiet but steadfast mission to make sure what happened to Diana never happened again. Not to his wife, not to his children. If he could help it, he wouldn't let the monarchy crush his family. Instead, he'd honor his mother's legacy, not with loud protests, but through principled, thoughtful actions. And what about Queen Camilla? No matter how much the royal press tried to polish her image, William never forgot her role in that painful chapter. She wasn't just Charles's partner. She was the woman who came between his mother and a marriage that was supposed to hold the kingdom together. Yes, William showed signs of civility. He exchanged smiles, handshakes, and polite remarks. He even supported Camilla's position alongside his father after Queen Elizabeth II passed. But insiders say those gestures were diplomatic facades, not genuine warmth. Behind closed doors, his relationship with Camilla was distant, guarded, and tense. He accepted her as necessary for his father's happiness, but never as a pillar of the monarchy's future. And as Camilla's influence grew, from Duchess of Cornwall to Queen Consort, her name appearing alongside Elizabeth's and even Diana's in headlines, that boundary between tolerance and trust became crystal clear. That was the line William refused to let her cross. Diana wasn't just a mother. She was a legacy. And in William's eyes, that legacy was being quietly rewritten, sanitized, to make space for the woman who had caused her so much pain. So Camilla's push to bring her family into royal circles, starting with Tom Parker Bowles, wasn't just a family matter, it was deeply personal. Allowing Camilla's son to stand alongside true royals in portraits, guest lists, and charity events felt like erasing Diana's sacrifice. For William, it wasn't about Tom personally. It was about what Tom symbolized, a subtle attempt to legitimize a bloodline that didn't belong. Palace insiders say William's expression hardly changed when he declined Camilla's request. He didn't raise his voice or argue. He simply said no. When pressed, he reportedly explained, "This isn't about the guest list. It's about what we stand for." William's guiding principle has always been values, not personal grudges. He sees himself as both the future protector of the crown and the guardian of his mother's honor. So when he closed Windsor's gates to Camilla's son, it wasn't cruelty. It was a firm stand, a silent message to Camilla and the world. Diana's legacy remains powerful. It lives on, and no one, not even a queen, will be able to rewrite that truth as long as William is alive. Windsor Castle shimmered with light. The grand halls buzzed with excitement as they readied to host a hallmark royal event, the Windsor Charity Gala. Meant to showcase the monarchy's unity, grace, and timeless grandeur, as well as its charitable work, or so the palace intended. Behind the gold-trimmed curtains, tensions were simmering, ready to boil over in front of the world. Prince William and his team had meticulously planned every detail of the evening. From the guest list to the seating chart, every choice was made to uphold the dignity of the crown and to clearly mark the boundaries between the royal family and those merely connected by proximity. For William, this gala was far more than a charity event. It was a message, a reminder that tradition, bloodline, and heritage still mattered deeply. So when Camilla quietly asked once again for her eldest son, Tom Parker Bowles, to be included among the honored guests, it sent shockwaves through William's office. Camilla's request was simple and personal. Tom wasn't a stranger to royal functions. As a respected food critic and author, he had long attended family gatherings. Now, with his mother as queen consort, Camilla believed it was time her children were officially recognized as part of the royal family. But William saw it differently. To him, the charity dinner was a formal royal occasion, a gathering of government officials and public figures, not a casual family get-together. Regardless of Tom's achievements, he wasn't royal by blood, and allowing his presence, especially on an event broadcast worldwide, would open a door William was determined to keep closed. Despite Camilla's persistent appeals in the days leading up to the event, some involving King Charles himself, William stood his ground. The final guest list was sealed, and Tom's name was nowhere to be found. Then came the night that stunned everyone. As elegantly dressed guests arrived at Windsor's gates, Tom Parker Bowles reportedly attempted to enter alongside his mother's entourage. What followed was an awkward and painful scene. Security personnel, acting on explicit orders, denied him entry. Witnesses described Tom's stunned expression, the uneasy silence, and the embarrassment as he was quietly turned away while camera flashes popped and limousines rolled past. Inside, Camilla faced the cameras alone. She smiled and waved, but those close by noticed the cracks. Her jaw tightened, and her hands trembled ever so slightly. For the first time in years, the queen consort appeared fragile instead of regal. This wasn't just a slight, it was a public rebuke. Behind closed doors, Camilla was reportedly furious, not only for her son, but for herself. After years of climbing the royal acceptance ladder, this moment made it clear she and her family were still seen as outsiders. Palace insiders stressed that William's decision wasn't personal. He and Tom had maintained cordial relations before. This was never about individuals. It was about principle. William was drawing a firm boundary, one that neither Camilla nor the world could ignore. In that glittering ballroom, surrounded by chandeliers and charity smiles, he did more than exclude a name from a guest list. He reinforced the invisible barriers around the House of Windsor, making clear that not everyone is welcome behind the gates. When the Windsor Charity Gala ended, and the last guest departed, the cameras went dark and the smiles faded. Alone within the castle's grand walls, Queen Camilla reportedly collapsed into a chair, tears streaming down her face. Her carefully maintained composure had finally broken. According to sources who witnessed the fallout, Camilla was visibly shaken, with tears in her eyes and a deep sense of humiliation, not just as queen, but as a mother. It was the look in her eyes, a palace staffer later confided. It wasn't anger at first. It was pure disbelief, as if she couldn't wrap her head around the fact that William had actually done it. But he did. Prince William had given the order. Her son, Tom Parker Bowles, was turned away from a royal event she had personally helped organize. In doing so, William had drawn a hard, unbreakable line between Camilla's family and the core of the monarchy. Camilla had fought for decades to earn her place, enduring relentless scrutiny, public criticism, and icy resistance from supporters of Diana. Becoming queen consort wasn't just a title, it was her proof of acceptance, her victory. But on this night, with her children left outside the castle gates and excluded from the royal gathering, everything she had worked for seemed to collapse. She was inconsolable. Those close to her said she told her aides, "I thought we were past this. I thought we were family." This wasn't merely a matter of protocol, it was deeply personal. To Camilla, Tom represented more than a son. He symbolized everything she'd fought to integrate into her new royal identity. She had stood by Charles through years of controversy and disdain. She had endured the relentless media glare. And just as she felt she'd earned her place, the next generation, the future king, made it clear she would never truly belong. Behind closed doors, tension filled the air. Charles, caught between his wife and his son, reportedly tried to comfort Camilla, but never challenged William's decision. He couldn't. Charles understood exactly what William was protecting: the institution, its image, and its legacy. More than anyone, Camilla knew Charles prioritized these things above personal feelings. She didn't lash out. She didn't raise her voice. That wasn't her style. Instead, she withdrew into silence, a rare move for a woman known for her sharpness and resilience. She reportedly spent much of the night alone in her private chambers, refusing to engage with staff, skipping appointments, and canceling the next day's plans. Palace officials scrambled to control the narrative. The official explanation would be that Tom was unavailable due to scheduling conflicts. Camilla remained silent. William, calm and unruffled, continued with his duties as if nothing had happened. But the damage was done. One insider summed it up best. William didn't just shut the door on Tom, he closed the chapter on Camilla's past, and she fully understood it. For the first time as queen consort, she felt the full weight of William's quiet authority. He didn't need to yell or threaten. His decision alone was enough to reduce the queen consort of England to tears. It was a stark revelation of the monarchy's harsh realities. Titles mean little when bloodlines and memories hold the true power. Camilla might wear the crown, but William held the real control. That night, she learned just how cold and unforgiving that power could be. William's choice to exclude Tom Parker Bowles from the Windsor Charity Gala was no impulsive act. It was part of a deliberate, long-term strategy quietly unfolding since Queen Elizabeth II's passing. While the monarchy projected an image of unity and smooth succession, William was quietly redrawing its boundaries and defining its future on his own terms. William's strategy was fundamentally about control, not just tradition. Since becoming Prince of Wales, he's had to navigate a complicated royal terrain, a father balancing personal affection with public duty, a stepmother whose presence remains controversial, a brother who has completely distanced himself from the crown, and a public increasingly divided over the monarchy's relevance in a media-saturated world. To William, preserving the monarchy's long-term legitimacy demands more than popular support. It requires clear internal boundaries, unwavering loyalty to bloodlines, and firm enforcement of those limits. In his view, Camilla had started to blur these lines. Her rising influence over King Charles, her attempts to integrate her family into royal affairs, and her subtle but persistent efforts to be recognized not just as consort, but as a maternal figure shaping a new royal era. All of this, William believed, threatened the sacredness of the crown, a legacy his mother, Princess Diana, devoted her life to protecting. So when Camilla asked for Tom's inclusion, William didn't see it as a simple favor. He saw it as a challenge, a quiet power play, and he responded not with emotion, but with a calculated move that spoke volumes without words. By barring Tom from the gala, William sent a clear, deliberate message. Royal status comes from lineage and duty, not association. There would be no expanded inner circle. The definition of the royal family would not be altered by marriage or convenience. For William, the survival of the monarchy depends on preserving its distinct identity, one forged through centuries of bloodline, responsibility, and sacrifice. Sources say William had made similar decisions before, and this wouldn't be the last. Since assuming control of the Duchy of Cornwall, he's implemented reforms aimed at tighter budgets, reduced favoritism, and greater transparency. Longtime Charles and Camilla loyalists have quietly been reassigned or removed. William is building a monarchy that's leaner, cleaner, and less vulnerable to personal influence. To the public, he remains the composed, modern heir, a husband, father, and future king. But behind palace walls, he is something else. A strategist, meticulously narrowing the royal circle, shaping its future, and ensuring that when he takes the throne, the institution reflects his vision, not his father's compromises. Camilla may wear the crown, but in William's world, her power is symbolic, not strategic. She is a figurehead, not a decision-maker. And no matter how close her family is, they will never match the Windsors in influence. To some, this might seem cold. To others, essential. For William, it's simple. The monarchy must be defended, even from within. To protect your borders, you must draw them firmly first. If the Windsor Gala was a public rebuke, what followed was a calculated, deeper blow to Queen Camilla's personal sphere. Just weeks after Camilla was left stunned by her son Tom's exclusion, William's team made another move. This time, it wasn't about guest lists or charity events. It was about money, legacy, and power, and involved someone far closer to Camilla than the media suspected, her sister, Annabel Elliot. For nearly 20 years, Annabel quietly held an important position within the royal family's operations. As a respected interior designer, she managed the renovation and modern styling of numerous properties within the Duchy of Cornwall, the vast royal estate traditionally overseen by the heir apparent. Appointed during King Charles's tenure as Duke of Cornwall, Annabel's role was never formalized with official titles. Her portfolio included a wide range of high-profile projects, from restoring historic cottages to curating luxury rental homes across Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. She earned a substantial income and built a solid reputation. Reports indicate Annabel received hundreds of thousands of pounds for her services in the years before Charles ascended the throne, including a notable £25,000 in a single fiscal year for design work alone. However, once Charles became king in September 2022, authority over the duchy and its finances transferred to Prince William. William acted swiftly to redraw boundaries. According to royal financial records and insiders, he chose not to renew Annabel Elliott's long-standing contract for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. There was no announcement, no fanfare, just a quiet omission. With that simple move, Camilla's family was officially cut off from the royal payroll. To the public, this might have seemed like a routine administrative decision, but within the palace walls, it was earth-shattering. This represented the last bastion of Camilla's family influence in the monarchy. Her son had already been denied formal recognition. Now her sister, who had served the duchy for nearly 2 decades, was removed from the heart of royal operations. What about her role, income, and standing? All wiped away with a single stroke. The timing was especially cruel. Annabel had stood by Camilla through pivotal moments, from her earliest public appearances to her coronation, where she proudly served as an attendant. Their decades-long friendship, forged through shared scrutiny and survival, was a personal lifeline for the queen consort. Watching her sister sidelined, not for any failure or misconduct, but simply because William deemed her unnecessary, was deeply painful. Palace insiders confirmed Camilla was profoundly upset by the move. One source emphasized that it wasn't about the money, it was about the message. Her family no longer had a place in the new royal order. William, meanwhile, stayed silent. Official statements claimed the duchy had matured under fresh leadership and that the team had gained enough experience under Annabel's guidance to function independently. But few believed it was just about efficiency. This was a personal act, a further tightening of William's invisible walls around the monarchy's core, reinforcing that bloodline and tradition outrank personal ties. No matter how long you'd served or how closely related you were, Camilla realized it first with her son, and now with her sister. Every quiet dismissal was more than a slight. It was a brutal, systematic reassertion of William's authority within the royal family. For Camilla, the message was painfully clear. She might wear the crown, but her roots, her family, and her legacy were being methodically stripped away. On the surface, Queen Camilla presents a composed image, the poised consort standing beside King Charles, smiling for the cameras and waving from palace balconies. But beneath that regal facade, recent developments reveal a harsher reality. Her crown may sparkle, but it's balanced on uncertain ground. First, her son Tom Parker Bowles faced public humiliation right outside Windsor's gates. Then came the quiet, harsh removal of her sister Annabel Elliott from royal duties, a clear severing of family ties within the monarchy's inner workings. Both moves were orchestrated by one man, Prince William, the future king, guardian of tradition, and steadfast keeper of his mother Diana's legacy. Throughout all this, Camilla has remained silent. No public statements, no protests. But those close to her say the toll is undeniable. The calm is still there, but the fire has dimmed. A queen who once fought hard to prove her worth now moves with quiet caution, fully aware that the institution she's served so diligently will never truly be hers to command. William has made it unmistakably clear that Diana's legacy will endure, not erased by time, rank, or Camilla's family. This isn't some tabloid drama. It's a deliberate, steady shift of power that has left Camilla increasingly isolated within the palace she once believed she had claimed. Her influence, once on the rise, is now slipping. And with every silent exclusion, William's message grows louder. This monarchy belongs to bloodline, not to those who marry in.